Everyone, welcome to Environment Sustainability Committee meeting, Tuesday, July 29th. Noon meeting, call to order. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, approval of the agenda. Councillor Beck, seconded by Councillor Twill. Approval of the minutes from July 8th, 2025 meeting. Councillor Beck, seconded by Councillor Twill. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. Moving right along, reports and discussions. Jessica's up first with the bus depot project, rescind.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is to officially request rescinding the December 10th, 2024 resolution where we awarded the design build of a transit depot to Wellington Construction. So just to recap, in February of 2025, Council passed a resolution directing staff to move from the transit depot project to a fleet expansion project that includes full-size diesel buses and electric minibuses and a charging station. And that decision was made after comparing both the costs and the greenhouse gas reductions in both scenarios. So the project focusing on the fleet expansion and service expansion proved to be fiscally prudent while achieving similar greenhouse gas reductions. So why this is coming forward now, months later, is because we had to officially apply to the federal and provincial governments to move the funding from one pot to another pot. And we received confirmation on July 7th, 2025 that we have their support in putting the funding to fleet expansion and trialing some electric buses and charging infrastructure. We are in communication with Trias Transit about the next steps regarding the transit depot project, and immediate conversations are around the new minibuses that will be electric and the charging station infrastructure. And that is the report. Happy to answer any questions, but we wanted to officially do the rescinding of the previous resolution.
Mr. Chair, I'll move it. I think it's part and parcel to the recommendation that you brought forward back just a few months ago. I agreed with the recommendation. This gives us plenty of time now to speak with the service provider regarding some options for a new transit depot.
So it is seconded by Councillor Beck, now it's open for discussion, so you
Sorry.
carry on.
No, I'm fully supportive of this. I think it was a good recommendation that was brought forward, and transitioning to other amenities that we want to provide the transit users. So, having said that, it's consistent with what we did just a few months ago. So, I'm fully supportive, and the motion's on the floor.
Any other discussion? I just have one question. Do we have a date of when the minibuses to be ordered are coming?
So we have a meeting this week where the buses are on the agenda. Our hope is to get 2 of them in March of 2026 and 2 of them in March of 2027. And these would be the minibuses. You see the smaller T3 buses around town. It would be to replace those as electric buses.
And the facility we have now, does that have a charging port or?
No, so part of the funding, the scope change was to move from the bigger depot to more fleet and a small charging station. So we would get 2 double-headed chargers and a bit of a station set up at our property at 5 and 7 Mount Edward Road, so that the buses, it'd be an outdoor system.
Thank you. Councillor Beck?
Yeah, so do we have current, supply? We have the minibuses that are coming on, we have the 4 diesel buses I think we approved for December 2027?
We don't have any current minibuses ordered yet.
2026, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we only have full-size buses on order.
Right,
The minibuses would go out for tender.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the area's getting pretty crowded. We are good, we're still good with enough supply to sort of cover off the electrified part and the spacing for our diesel buses as well too.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, those are part of the conversations we're having with the operator. Right now, there's a lot of different uses on the property.
Yeah.
T3 Transit's there for both urban and rural systems, plus the Cassidy's private companies. And things are getting tight because we're getting more fleet, they're getting more fleet. So we're working with them to find a solution to that. But I don't see an issue with our plans that we have going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be because we are looking, I mean, that's part of our move on this direction was to allow us for route expansion, which requires more buses and operating, so I'm just concerned, or not concerned, or just hoping that we are able to effectively manage the depot side of things
Yeah.
as we continue to grow and expand our routes.
Yeah, so
So
through
we're at a point, we're okay right now, but we'll continue to look at that.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, we're okay now and I think we'll be okay into the future. Decisions might have to be made about what happens to what different buses on the property. But your comment about route expansion means more fleet. There's a lot we can do with our existing fleet
Right,
because we don't run
Yeah.
all our routes, 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
So if we add more service during our current route, so University Avenue runs every 15 minutes, routes 2 and 3 runs less frequently. So, we can ramp up service on existing routes without requiring more buses.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
Any other discussion? Welcome, your worship.
Thank you, I'm just down the waterfront. It is number 6A, where do you want?
6A bus depot rescinded, yeah, it's been moved.
So it's to
seconded.
rescind it, is there any penalty for that? Do we pay a penalty to the contractor?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of any penalty to do that.
And have we looked into it? Because we did pass a motion in council to award it to them. And they did put all the drawings and did all the design work correct. So I'm just wondering, could we find out?
Sure, through you, Mr. Chair, I can definitely look into it, but what I can say for certain is that there was no PO issued, there was no contract signed.
No.
And in the RFP language, there is language in there around the city reserving the right to not award the contract. So my understanding is the city had the ability to not move forward with the project, not saying they didn't put a great deal of work into that. We had a lot of great submissions and all parties did great work and a lot of work, but I can definitely look into it, but my understanding is that there's no penalty.
Because we did it twice. We were at this depot twice. Remember the first time?
I remember it's been drug on a while.
Yeah.
Your worship, it's been going, yeah, and if you don't mind looking into that, Jessica,
Second question, Mr. Chair.
alright?
So we're bringing on new buses. We have a 3-bay, 4-bay facility now on Public Avenue. Will that be capacity, physical plant capacity to deal with all the maintenance upkeep? We're gonna be looking at, like, I've been down to the site, I know Councilor Tweed, it's in Ward 4, it's pretty maxed out right now with all the buses that are there, so,
Crowded,
what's that?
it's getting crowded.
Very crowded, yeah, and it lies right on the, on our Federation Trail that runs through the northern zone of the city. So, the operator is comfortable with, or okay with the existing facility, or do we have to contract out to go somewhere else to provide service, maintenance? Do we know that yet?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the operator was supportive of this rescinding of the project. The existing service bays are servicing all the entities that are on site now, but we will definitely need to work with them on a plan going forward, which is what is happening now. Our operator has confirmed with us that they themselves are looking at other opportunities and spaces for their companies and their fleet to free up a bit of space for transit at the site. So those conversations are ongoing, and I'm optimistic that the site works for transit and will continue to work for transit. Will we need more infrastructure in the future? Yes. I don't think this means that we never need to do an investment in transit infrastructure at the site. But what I heard from leadership was this project wasn't the answer to be fiscally responsible and to focus on greenhouse gas emissions through fleet expansion, so
So, Mr. Chair, I'll just end by, like, we went through a process, I thought it was a due process, due diligence. Purchased, had a motion from council to purchase 4 electric buses. So that was to go ahead, and then December of 2024, we pass a resolution, so when it gets to that legislative branch, all that due process, due diligence should be checked off, not when we pass the resolution and say, geez, we should have thought about and again, this is not a reflection, there was other partners or other minds and other voices that were part of that discussion that came to this point of rescinding it. But on the going forward, we will be purchasing many electric buses, correct, Mr. Chair?
Correct, we had that discussion,
Yeah, so
2026 of March, 2027.
yeah, so the infrastructure in the depot on Longworth Avenue will have to be upgraded, what, level 3 chargers to accommodate?
level 2 chargers.
Level 2, okay, okay. I just have difficulty, I can't support rescinding it, I know it's
No,
going
we
nowhere,
know,
I'm
you've been
against it,
voted vocal from the
Yes,
start
that's
of
why I'm
this, your
glad I got
worship,
it.
so
I'm against it.
Good.
Can,
that's fair, it's already been voted on and passed.
Good.
Rescind.
Okay.
can we pass this with and ask, like, move it on to council for recommended with approval, and even though you're opposed to it, but recommend that we approve it and then get clarification on the whether we owe a penalty or anything like that? Can we just add that as part of the,
Because this resolution will go to
To our
council.
package,
This-
yeah, it'll be part of the package.
Sure. Richard, I don't
Just
know
if
if
we
you know
know it,
anything about penalties, but that's the first time, like,
She's making.
a lot of time has passed since, like, Wellington's aware for months that this project's not going forward, this is just making it
But this,
official.
this
And
resolution
nothing's
will end
been
it,
brought to my,
this will end it, this will
Plus,
close it.
it's also, I may jump in, it's also in the bid package as well. It clearly states that, I mean, I've read that out at council. And we awarded contract to a company, which was at the time the lowest bid, but I felt there was another bid that I supported, and I read that out. And it clearly stated that, you know, council has the lead to not accept the lowest tender or other rationale or logics that was illustrated in the prerequisites when a company tenders for work with the city of Charlottetown. So it's all in there, in that package.
Mr. Chair,
I think just,
point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order, so we passed the resolution to go with Longworth. At the first round we went with this, we provided $10,000 to each of the participating companies. If I'm wrong, correct me.
I'd call a point of order now, just if you're gonna start discussing legal matters, it's not a good idea to
No,
do it on camera.
I'm just ending it by saying that,
Okay, let's just end it and move
yeah.
on to the next topic.
Okay.
There's-
We-
Let's just end it,
Yeah.
your worship. I know
I'm
you,
just,
I know
I'm
you
just
wanna
ending
keep
it by
going, but
saying
let's,
that
I know
we
you
went
wanna
through
keep saying.
this and I think that I just, as
it. Your
I wanna
point has been
support
taken,
his-
sir.
his point is that get that clarified, so when he goes back to council with the recommendation, we'll know.
I think just for
Clarification.
for all of us to know.
Yeah.
Just, the point was raised here, so let's follow through on that. Didn't answer, find out, but Jessica gave an explanation, but we'll double check and make sure, and then we'll have it there.
Just like to end it off too, back when the senior manager come back and said, we need to change the resolution to move forward. I at that time supported that recommendation. I thought it was a good recommendation, and it gives us more latitude on the plan as to what we're gonna be doing 25, 35 years down the road, so, thank you.
I think this vote went 9-1, you voted against the Wellington contract anyways.
Pardon me?
You voted against.
No, I voted, no.
Anyways, Mr.
I
Chair.
voted on the resolution to support senior management's recommendation
But we voted,
back in, I think it was January, February.
But this resolution, you were opposed to.
you opposed it, it's
Yeah, I know.
there, it's in the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
But the
6B.
following-
That's 6B. We gotta keep moving.
I know, but
I'm
I'm sorry, but the following resolution, that senior management come back to
That's
this
not in the
committee.
package.
That's not in the
That's
package.
not in the
No, I know,
package.
I supported that.
So
Okay.
Simon, you're up with spring tree planting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have prepared a visual presentation to accompany the report that's in your package, because words alone don't do the work that we've done justice, and I think it's helpful to have some visual accompaniment. I'm pleased today to be joined by the whole the urban forestry team. We've got Morgan, our forest tech, Julia, our forest tech assistant, Taylor, our project coordinator, and Rowan, our nature and restoration coordinator as a seasonal position. Each of them are experts in their particular element of the work we've been doing over the spring, so I'm going to let them speak to those sections in case I get it wrong. So, to start with, urban forest restoration, inclusive of street, park, natural area restoration, plantings, is a key part of our climate action plan. I'm including these pictures just as a very simple explanation as to why. So Victoria Park, everyone's sitting under the tree because the tree is giving us shade, and the benches that are in the sunlight are not occupied. So it's a key part of our climate action plan. This spring, the city's urban forestry team planted over 3,000 trees, shrubs and plants across streets, parks, green spaces and natural areas. The work has been carried out in collaboration with community partners and supported by funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and the Trans-Canada Trails for Planting for Tomorrow program, and the Charlottetown Rotary Club. These efforts support the city's restoration goals for enhancing their biodiversity, strengthening climbing resistance, and fostering community involvement. So we're going to go through each of the major projects that make up those totals. Start with?
Yeah, so of the 3,000, 150 of these would be composed of our street and park tree specimen trees. These are trees that are of what we consider large caliber stock, so they are up to 60 millimeters in caliber size. All these trees are planted by our Public Works tree crew, and as well as a backhoe operator that's contracted out. There's substantial root balls, so the backhoe makes this lighter work, I should say. Each tree is also mulched and staked, tied, and has a tree guard installed on them just to ensure as much moisture is captured in the soil when planted, and the tree guard prevents potential external damages in their environment. 60% of the trees that were planted this spring are native to our Wabanaki Acadian forests, and then the remaining 40% are non-native. Mind you, a lot of these species are that were selected were not too far outside the native range of the Wabanaki forests. And getting down to more numbers, 53 of these trees from this order were planted in our street waterways, and 97 were planted in our parklands. And on top of that too, Public Works, they do the rest to keep on top of watering efforts as well, while they're both stored and post-planting. That was an area that was a little bit challenged this year, as of course capacity can be a problem with fellow departments, including ourselves. So this year we did get support from Parks and Recreation for watering the park trees, and a contractor for watering our street and park trees.
Thank you. Moving on to Taylor.
Yeah, I'll talk briefly as I can about the Growing
Taylor?
Canada's. Yes.
Just before you go, can you remind me again what Wabanaki Forest is? I'm familiar with the term Acadian forest, but what's Wabanaki?
The Wabanaki Acadian forest
Or are they the
represents.
same?
It's the same. It represents the forest region. It uses the name used by the Aboriginal peoples
Oh,
of
okay.
the area, as well as the colonial name.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
And then Where is Meadow Park? Help us with that one.
Meadow Park, so you go up Upton Road, and then you cross with Royalty Road, turn right, and then it's about probably 200 yards along from 200 yards.
Meadow Lane,
Yeah,
right?
Meadow Lane goes
Off
through.
Meadow Lane.
Yeah,
It's on Meadow
Hercus
Lane.
Meads, Meadow Lane, around
That's
that.
my ward. Okay, I just never
It's a
heard
ward.
it called that. Okay.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure if it's officially named that. It's what parks refer to it as, so we
Cannon
have
Park,
adopted the
What?
terminology.
Cannon Park.
Can,
And Windsor Park's still out that way too?
Yes.
not too
Off
far from
Windsor.
there. Is that, what park is that?
It's Windsor.
It's Windsor?
So
Nice building.
I'll maybe answer a few questions as I go through these next few slides. So the Growing Canada's Community Canopies program, it represents probably the lion's share of the natural area restoration planting this year. And as you'll see, spans several different areas. So pictured here, you see Windsor Park in the inset map in the bottom right, as well as sort of highlighted in that map. That's the area we're looking at in this photo. So that single garden bed there, or forestry module, I should say. All right. So the GCCC Restoration Planting Project. You'll also hear me call this the FCM project or the GMF project. It is brought to us by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities through their Green Municipal Fund. It's a 3-year project. This is year 1 of that project. Years 1 and 2 are mostly our actual installation, our planting, and year 3 is a maintenance, reporting, and other sort of desktop exercises year. So you'll hear the most of our impacts in years 1 and 2, and we're off to a hell of a start, with year 1. So this project spans 3 locations: Windsor Park, a section of Ellens Creek by the West Royalty Community Center, and Hermitage Creek near Charlottetown Rural. The lion's share of that is in Windsor Park with 62%, the other 38% taking up those other 2 sites. Overall, we got about 2,000 trees in the ground, shrubs and herbaceous plants this spring alone through this program. You'll see some before and after images here. We're collecting all of these trees, shrubs and such with GPS equipment, so you can see the extent of the work that we're doing. This is the Ellens Creek segment, and that's with 283 trees added to that area, restoring that canopy and improving that from a underutilized green space, which was effectively just mown grass. You'll see this again in Hermitage Creek. We are doing the same thing. We are increasing the canopy, restoring that, and we're also battling a infestation of buckthorn in that area. Basically, that entire gray area to the right of those plantings is about between 50 to 100% buckthorn, depending on the specific area. You'll see Windsor Park is our most dramatic transformation. 1,250 trees have been added, creating a park structure that will provide additional levels of service in walking paths, as well as habitat. And you'll see that there's quite a few different types of installations here with some money afforded to us through this program and flexibility therein. It's an ambitious project. Construction and transformation of these landscapes is unlike what we've seen in previous years with our plantings. This is a small snippet of Windsor Park, and this is sort of our finished project, our finished product in that same area. You'll see the same at Ellens Creek. So there's our work in progress. There's the north side, and then here's the south side restored,
It's
and the
the
north
West
side.
Royalty Community
That's
Center.
just due north of West Royalty
You
Community
have the
Center.
photos of what's close to the West Royalty Community Center that we did there with the Royalty Club. Is that coming up?
Yep, coming up.
Right on. That's a great project.
As I mentioned, we have some flexibility with our modules this year. This fund allows for the installation of some log borders and other interesting experimental planting methods, which will help with erosion in the interim before while these trees get established and will eventually contribute to erosion and stormwater management in their own accord. So this has been quite the boon to our operations, but we still do a fair amount of planting in our traditional sense as well. So you'll see a lot of familiar planting sites. With a project of this scope, we engage in quite a bit of community engagement as well. Our first event of the year was with Charlottetown Rural High School, continuing that tradition of engaging their bio and conservation classes. 80 students participated in invasive species removal. That was the removal of all that buckthorn, well, all of that. Well, it's an ongoing battle. And planting about 200 native species to competitively exclude it for the years to come. We also wrapped the Business Tree Challenge this year up in Windsor Park. This added 326 plants to that area towards that 2,000 total. We engaged 9 businesses and about 80 participants in that, and have plans to potentially do a second event in the fall if we can get some things to align. Finally, we did a capstone project in Windsor Park where the final module for the spring was planted with the community. We had a massive community turnout throughout the project, really emphasizing the need to do something with the community. Lots of engagement, positive, 99% of the time. The community came out in droves to help plant this last module, which was about 200 plants. We raced the rain, and I think we beat it by a nose. Moving on quickly to the TCT Planting for Tomorrow project. This is a combination of natural areas along the Confederation Trail, Victoria Park, as well as some module plantings in Meadow Park, which was just discussed. The majority of that work has been in Victoria Park this year, just by the numbers, but as you'll see, we're planning to do an even spread throughout the year. So here we have a couple modules being constructed in Meadow Park. I advise you to come and check them out. I think staff just got finished weeding a few of them, so they'll look really nice and pristine again. It's again quite a transformative look for the park, sort of taking this open area that goes right into somebody's backyard and turning that into something that people can more closely associate with an actual park. This is a lovely picture taken by our chief photographer on staff, who's not actually a photographer. But these activities will be continuing throughout the summer and into the fall, and you'll see hundreds of more trees planted through both programs, the GCCEC and the TCT, throughout the rest of this year. Move on to Julia, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak to 2 new demonstration garden beds that were installed along Ellens Creek near the West Royalty Community Center. Both of these were planted on June 7th of this spring during some community planting events that brought out 2 great groups of volunteers. So the first one shown in these photos was a part of a hedgerow workshop that was funded by the PEI Climate Challenge Fund. This bed features a mix of native and non-native species selected for their hardiness in urban conditions like wind, salt, and limited space. And all the trees planted are short stature species, so it makes them safe to plant near infrastructure and under power lines. In total, in this bed, we planted 5 trees and 34 shrubs with the guidance of presentations by the city's Forest and Environmental Officer and the PEI Department of Agriculture. And then moving to the pollinator garden, this bed was funded by the Charlottetown Rotary Club and features over 120 plants representing a variety of native flowering species that provide critical food and habitat for our local pollinators. And planting this diverse range of flowers helps ensure that there's a wide range of local pollinators that will have access to food and habitat throughout the seasons. And we're also working on installing some information signs that are going to be added to the pollinator garden as well as the hedgerow, just to help further share their purpose and benefits with the public.
Yes, so I'm going to take over for just a focus specifically on Victoria Park. It's been a very busy season so far. Specifically in the understory planting, which is directly into the park off the trails and things like that, we've planted 215 trees as well as 145 ferns, shrubs, and herbaceous species to boost biodiversity and also help refill the future forest canopy where gaps exist from trees falling during Fiona as well as invasive pests and diseases. Much of the plantings are focused around Dead Man's Pond to boost and help restore that area's ecosystem in particular, as well as a lot of the back end of the forest where basically after Fiona it became a clearing instead of a forest. So hopefully we're giving a little head start so that the forest can accelerate in its rehabilitation compared to if it was left on its own devices. Most of the plantings are native species, native to the island, but also similar to the street trees, some that are regional species that can offer better climate resilience and pest resistance to ensure the greatest impact for the future health of the forest as well. And we're taking steps to track the progress, measure success, and look for areas of improvement in the future. And so also Arbor Day happened again this year. On June 6th, we had over 100 students in grade 5 and 6 who came into the park. They planted nearly 200 trees in this space that is near the playground. And as those grow up, that's going to be a big change to that area. It's an annual event where also partner organizations join us, and so the kids experience different activities, including a cultural experience offered by a group of Mi'kmaq dancers and elders, as well as an art activity presented by the public library, where kids could share what nature can teach us. And we've had a bustling nature education season as well. We've so far facilitated 16 groups totaling 260 participants in our educational tours and hands-on nature programming for kids, with another 12 groups totaling over 250 participants currently booked still before the end of the season. In mid-July, we also welcomed our provincial Envirothon champions to the park, where we were working on ecologically minded forest management, and they helped remove some invasive species. Our team in general also continues to work on strategic invasives removal, as we're facing a lot of different species in the park, including glossy buckthorn, bittersweet nightshade, small balsam, and Japanese knotweed. We've also had engagement with some printed literature. 90 people have taken these restoration information booklets that are talking about what's going on in the park, along with many kids and families engaging with different printed self-led activities that we've made available. And regularly we have the public coming up to us while we're out there planting and asking us questions, sharing their grief post-Fiona for the forest changes and celebrating the new changes and hope and plantings they're seeing as well, which has been great.
One of the other approaches we've taken in Victoria Park this year is the installation of restoration forest modules. So these were installed in areas that where we lost almost the entire canopy, and the understory was being taken over by invasive species and dense thickets of raspberries in particular, and Norway maples. So in these areas, we cleared out all of the unwanted species, or the ones that were overrepresented, and then replanted those areas with species that were more desirable, representative of the Wabanaki, Acadian and forest, and were more climate resilient. We also planted them in such a way that we would gain vertical complexity, so we'd have canopy trees, an understory, shrubs, and herbaceous species, filling all the niches and making them more resilient to invasive species and other things taking over. We also use larger trees as well to give us a more rapid boost in trying to get the canopy back in these areas that were completely stripped of trees. So just in conclusions and next steps, the city, the city, the FCM and the TCT plantings will continue in their fall. Funding from TD's Friends of the Environment Foundation has already been, and Tree Canada has been secured for plantings at Evergreen, and that coming up. We're still behind very much in our post-Fiona restoration goals. We remain behind to restore the canopy within a 10-year window. We've planted fewer than 50% of the annual target of 8,000 trees that we needed to plant in order to get the canopy back by the time that within 10 years. So we've had a lot of success though. We're on track to plant more trees, shrubs and plants than ever before this year. We've converted some significant areas, as you've seen, from grass into thriving biodiverse natural habitats. We're building a more diverse and climate resilient urban forest as a key part of our climate action plan, and it'll be a legacy for our future generations will benefit from. So welcome any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Ollie. Yes, no, that's job well done. There hasn't been too many idle hands this spring and summer by the look of those pictures and all that you've accomplished. So, no, thank you. Any questions?
I've been there.
Your picture
wanna-
showed.
Well, a couple more pictures you didn't see. But the Windsor Park, pre-planning, remember all the new Canadians that come out?
Yes.
That were just so excited. And again, that addresses that interest of community, of a sense of belonging. Like they were so into it. That is where a community shows that it's open to all of us. It's not just English, French. It's a very diverse community. And when we did the West Royalty Pollinator Gardens, the turnout from the Charlottetown Rotary Club was quite a few members came out to be part of it. And I like the point about how we referred to the pollinator garden as specifically selected plants that pollinators like bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. So we're bringing in the bees and the hummingbirds back to the West Royalty Park. But we forgot to mention the Charlottetown Rotary Club gave a contribution of $10,000 to that effort. So kudos to them. And then Victoria Park, when we did the Arbor Day, we had 3 schools, I believe, with the excitement from the participants and knowing that they were part of replanting trees, not just because of Fiona, but replanting trees was very exciting for them. But my question is the 2 billion tree program still in existence, Simon? Is there money still available through that program?
So, through you, Mr. Chair, the 2 billion tree program is a federal program, and they farmed out the implementation of that program to a number of different groups. So this year we have 2 billion tree funding through the FCM and through the TCT programs. Both of those, the money originally comes from the 2 billion tree program to those groups, and then it's given to us to plant their trees. The PEI provincial 2 billion tree program closed its municipal stream last year. So originally that was going to be ongoing for a few years, but it got the municipal stream got cancelled.
But the federal program has a couple of years left to it?
Well, with the change of government, one can't guarantee. Not sorry, change of leadership within the party.
I'm sure Prime Minister Carney will keep that program.
I hope so, as it's a great program, and that it's been our lifeline in restoring the forest post Fiona.
Thank you for your work. It's great.
Great work.
Great job.
Councillor Beck.
Yeah, just a few things. I would echo the great work part. I mean, it's been a pretty daunting task to go in, and just seeing the work that you guys have done collaboratively and collectively has been impressive. So good job for everybody. It was interesting on Canada Day, in between musical selections, I decided to take my bike and bike around various parts of Charlottetown. And, you know, we're looking at these trees here that are being planted down around Kiwanis Pool and those paths and stuff like that. It wasn't that long ago that same work was done around Forby Kennedy Way in between the main there. And you look there now, the canopy is beautiful. And it's only getting better every year. So the comment was made there, the work that we're doing now is going to provide an enduring legacy. Like it's so nice to see the canopies when you take that work come into fruition and the difference that it does make. And it really just jumped out at me when I was driving around on my bike, and I said, man, this is beautiful. Like, and so it's going to be nice to see that work come to fruition at a later time. I do have a couple of questions about the, like we were looking at hedgerows and regionally appropriate species that offer buffers, wind, and enhance air and water quality. Are those available to be done? Can we do hedgerows if a property on residential properties, like if a residents wanted to do that, is that available to say there was in a particular community, an area that could be served by a hedgerow, is that the sort of thing, because everything we're here talking about is on public spaces. And is that something that if a residence had an if there's an area of a particular neighborhood that would be served well by something like that, could that be done, or is that kind of a no-go?
Through you, Mr. Chair. There are lots of areas that would certainly benefit from hedgerows. Hedgerows offer great connectivity and so many benefits. We currently do not have a program to plant those, and we don't have funding for that. But that's definitely something that there are areas. The idea behind demonstration module was to create an area, and with the signage that Julia's producing, have information available for people to plant. We're also working on our website as well, and as part of our website we are updating and increasing information available for residents to be able to access to know what species they can plant in these areas, that they can plant them themselves.
Okay. I was curious about the community pollinator part too. And I do know that there are people who are growing their own fruit trees in their own backyards and stuff like that, and they're always looking for pollinators. Is there something that they can access? If I'm a homeowner or a property owner, can I access those pollinators? Like, is there, because part of the problem, I mean, we're looking at this whole work. We have a goal of 8,000 units, if you will. Various trees, shrubs, ferns, and all that stuff. But you're bound by a human resource. There's only so many of you to do the work. So whenever, as much as we would like to get to where we want to get to, we don't have the human resource ability. So is it possible for, if I'm a backyard horticulturalist, can I get access to pollinators that I can use to help us, and also to help my own garden? And again, I know it's on private property, but it is for the residents. I'm just wondering that.
Absolutely, I think. Sorry, for you, Mr. Chair. I would say that that we all benefit from the urban forest, and most of the urban forest is not owned by the city or any branch of government. In Charlottetown, most of it is privately owned. Backyards represent a significant area of space and can be a key part in restoring and saving biodiversity. We currently do not have a program that's funded to support planting in private residence space. We did have a program for 2 years funded by Tree Canada in the wake of post-Fiona as part of their restoration after a big storm. They have a program to help communities after they've been damaged by natural disasters, and we tapped into that for 2 years to help residents. We do not have an ongoing source of funds for that kind of program.
Okay, so much like the hedgerow.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a capacity in a financial state as well as human resources that limits those things.
So under the fall planting part, we were talking about the planting of street and park trees. I know that it's been brought up before about we've had issues with planting street trees because of snow, salt, and the ability to, we talked about those, remember the planters we were looking at, that modular planter? Where have we been able to successfully put some street trees in? Like you just mentioned that we planted some. Where did those go?
Morgan, do you want to speak to a few examples?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Just jogging my memory now. So a lot of places that we look at that we plant within city right-of-ways are good examples would be various subdivisions essentially. So for example, we could look at areas that have either lost significant canopy over the years, either through just structurally poor trees or through Fiona. Other locations would be in newer developed subdivisions or ones that are being developed. And we can either get requests from residents to plant in the area or just places that are on our radar that we know are being created. And then there's some places downtown as well that we look at that trees have been lost through storm or structurally unsound. or areas that are just vacant, and then we just kind of hone in on these areas that we think that we prime candidates for a tree. When you reach downtown, we are limited, however, from underground and overhead utilities. So, amongst other issues as well that you mentioned, snow loading and salt spray. So, yeah, there's various factors that we consider before putting them in, but then we're just kind of surface level examples of a street tree.
Alright, one last question. Again, it kind of goes back to my human resource available, trying to get trees around. I think of and again, I'm looking at another potential partnership. I think of Belvedere Golf Course, which we use in the wintertime for our winter trails, our cross-country skiing. They lost a whole bunch of trees recently during Fiona, and basically there's a canopy there. I know that there are some trees that are being planted in there. Is that an opportunity to go in and maybe do a partnership with something like that, where we are using, although it's not a publicly owned land, but we do use it in the wintertime for our own Parks and Recs program. And is that another way of enhancing our urban canopy and still getting into the whole benefits of having additional trees, but using it on a different, is that something that
Through you, Mr. Chair. There's a couple of points I will make. You're absolutely right. There are large areas on the golf course, but also on church grounds, the school grounds, universities that are of what I would classify as institutionally owned. That are prime candidates for tree planting. Again, we haven't had their financial resources to expand beyond that, in part because our own parkland is is needing trees so much of the time. We have a lot of parks, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's over 30 that have less than 10% tree cover. And with a park, you're looking at wanting a much higher than that. We could put, I think we could put, some of the parks, we could put hundreds of trees in and you still wouldn't barely notice. There'd still be so much room. So right now, we're playing catch up with our own land, with the resources that we have. But if we had more resources, obviously we've engaged in planting in on UPI's campus before, because we had funding from the provincial government to do that, and partnered with the Watershed group, and we've partnered with Wrights Creek Watershed as well, and received money from the provincial government as well to do work on provincial land. So if I can secure money for a project, I would absolutely love to do these. It's a question of how much money I can bring in, and normally it's 50% match. So right now I'm using a big chunk of money that we had for Fiona restoration money to partner with money from FCM or the TCT program to double that money effectively. I basically, whenever I get money, I'm able to normally double it or triple it in some cases with these programs.
All right. Keep searching for it, Simon. Keep going, man.
We bring a lot of money in.
Oh boy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Anything else on trees? Alright, we'll move on to 6C. Jessica, anti-idling policy. Looks like a lot of housekeeping with this.
Yes.
Just tidying up.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So no major changes to this, just to reflect our new climate action plan. It referenced an old plan and just some typographical, grammatical errors, and a couple of changes to separate emergency vehicles from the idling bylaw, because there are cases where they are required to idle.
So they weren't in there at all before.
So in the report, the red sections are the added sections. So yeah, we added sections relating to police and emergency vehicles.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the city's anti-idling policy was created close to 4 years ago. Councillor Tweel will remember that Regina Wells was our first environmental officer hired here in the city back in 2002. And that sign that sits next to the two handicap disabled parking spaces, there's an anti-idling sign, that goes back 20 years. Have we put up signs like that around the city to notify residents, visitors, that we have a policy that we are encouraging, promoting drivers to shut off their vehicle?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So this is a policy for city internal.
Yeah.
So this speaks to the use of city vehicles.
I know that.
Yeah, so
I'm just extending it to the greater
so do some
community.
education to the public about anti-idling. Yeah, we can take that back to the team. Putting up signage isn't something we've talked about recently, but
Right.
yeah.
And I know for colder weather, it addresses that someone can let their vehicle idle. Is that the same for hot weather like this for someone? Is that in the, I'm just trying,
Yes,
where is
it's
that in
in
the
there.
policy?
It does speak to both, yes.
Speaks to over
What section?
27.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Okay, it's there.
It's there, yeah,
Okay.
I read it,
Okay.
yeah.
And I know that with the Houston Street Urban Station project, that is a promoter of EV recharging for not only vehicles, but e-bikes, and hopefully we can get that to tender, hopefully within the next month or a little later, so that we can promote that as a avenue for any resident, new Canadian, that electric is still a viable option for vehicles, regardless of what some may say. So, thank you.
It's section 3.4 for the
Thank you, sir.
ambient temperature. Any other questions? Excellent. Move along, Alistair, you to wrap it up, 6D,
Yeah,
Atlantic project.
thank you, Chair. I can try and be a bit brief here with the time. So this is just to inform the committee about an ongoing project we have with Climb Atlantic. They're a regional organization, a nonprofit, non-government organization that provides support to communities and other groups to engage in climate related activities through facilitation, expertise, work with data. They have a lot of different staff that are experts in different things. There's a PEI specialist, and we've worked with them on quite a few projects, including the Climate Action Plan. So we expressed interest in being involved with the project they had submitted to NRCan's Climate Resilient Coastal Communities back in 2024, and they did receive the funding for that project. We are not committing any funding to it. It's all coming from the funding that they've received through the grants. And meeting with them, we've decided to focus our project on the natural areas, including natural corridors within the city. The idea being for this project, we're part of a larger cohort, and for each individual community and group, they're going to help us create a climate adaptation pathway, which kind of acts as a planning roadmap. It covers a larger period than a lot of other planning documents. It's a 100-year roadmap that looks at a lot of different actions, changes, and decision points that will relate to our topic. So we'll be going through it with them in 3 different stages. Currently creating an engagement plan. The idea being in phase 1, we'll work with subject matter experts. Then in phase 2, we'll work with internal and external stakeholders. So this would include other city departments, some of those institutions that Simon mentioned, the university, province, and as well as the council. If you are interested in being involved, you'll hear about it when we get to that stage. And then in the final stage, we'll move to more public engagement, community involvement to get their opinions. And through this, we're hoping to build a roadmap that will guide all our kind of planning and strategic decisions over the course of the next century to help us stay within a sustainable place when it comes to making decisions and plans around natural areas. And the idea being it creates a network of basically a pathway from each decision point that you can follow and say, if we get to this point and we change, say, a bylaw to be this, or if we don't make that decision, it puts us on this kind of our choose your own adventure of where we end up. And it will give a suggestion to staying within a sustainable space versus what to consider a maladaptation. So it's a newer planning concept. I'm learning more about it as we go throughout this process. I'm certainly not the expert, but our project lead is quite familiar with it, and as they continue with other projects, other community partners, they're getting more and more experience. So we're hoping the end result will help us with all those future plans and decisions on a larger scale. And as I mentioned, it's primarily staff time at this point that we're committing to the project. The Climate Atlantic has the funding to do a lot of that engagement, and as the project gets elaborated, if there's things we want to dive into, certain studies or modeling of something, we can then use some of that funding to explore that further.
Busy as well. Thank you. Any questions? All good? All right, any new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
3 minutes.